Hola, 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 roll and roll and roll with TJ and Andrea. Roll, TJ and Andrea.
No, I need a nickname or something because that just did not sound right.
Yeah, my creativity failed me in the moment, but that's okay. Y'all ain't loving me for the bars I be spitting. So as you all are coming in, I need to know who is in the chat. We are on day 5. I'm like, what's the day? Day 5. Oh, look, Jay on it too. Like Jay is like Mike. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Jay. Y'all be looking out for. Here's what I know. My crew, we roll together. Cause Jay was fast on it. Like, where's the mic, T? Where's the mic? Um, Lord, my mama here. She gonna fall asleep though. Hey, mom. Uh, so I have rested all day. Yesterday was my Sabbath, and today I just didn't have it in me to do anything. And so, is there somewhere I could find day 1 through 3? I can only find day 4 and now 5. On YouTube, you should be able to find all of them under the live link. So if you go to my YouTube, TJ Mercer, click on live, you should have what's up in the ceiling, Andrea? Is the sky is falling?
It's a bird. It's a plane.
All of a sudden I'm like, okay, people, like, hold up. I ain't even over there, but I need to know what's happening in the sky. So, I forgot what I was saying.
Shanisha's friend is here. Erin.
Lord. Tanisha, friend, you were supposed to be asleep. You missed the alarm last night. You did want to get up to play with us. And so now you here. Now I got to feel like I got to be on my best behavior. Okay, you putting pressure on me, Queen, or Aaron. That's your name, Aaron. You're putting pressure on me, Aaron.
Put the mic closer. Turn the mic towards you.
Is it not a good audio?
Is it on?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hold on. Let me make sure it got active though, because sometimes.
I mean, I can hear you. It just usually when you bring it closer to you, it sounds a little bit more amplified.
Okay, how about now?
It's the same. It's fine.
Okay. I didn't do anything differently.
Don't you normally have it tilted towards you a little bit?
No.
No?
Because it's supposed to be straight up.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Y'all can't hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Erin says she's here for it all.
Okay, good, Aaron. Okay, because I feel judged right about now, Aaron, and you're making me nervous. I'm feeling judged. It's coming up in my comments that TJ, Andrea, it's been so long since I've been connected. I've missed you guys. Who is that? You got to tell me your name because on my screen it's just coming up as Facebook user. Jay says it sounds better than the beginning. Okay. So with that said, let's get to it. I am TJ Mercer. And I happen to be bummer number 1 for the lovely Wanda Mercer, who is in here. I happen to be the big sister of Zacharias and Bud Mercer. I happen to be the TT of Grayson, Sir Grayson the Great, and T2 Mercer. And that's TJ number 2. I have no idea why. Hi, Lindsay. Okay, got it. Hi, Lindsay. But for the most part, I am a Jesus freak. I am the founder of Move In Day Mafia, where we provide dorm room makeovers for those students who have aged out of foster care or are homeless and are attending HBCUs. And I am a storyteller. I spent over 25 years working on some of the biggest TV shows and films in the game. But what I am doing in this season, it is miracle season. And I had a mandate to gather a group of you all who rock with me to come together and pray at midnight for miracles at midnight. And I'm excited for the shifts that are already happening. I'm excited for, hey, Jamel. Hey, Olateju. I'm excited for the shifts that are happening. I'm excited for all that God is doing through this time together. So with that said, Andrew, you got anything you need to tell us?
No, I just wanted to say that after you prayed for me last night, I took the first step and I filled out the application.
Yeah! And I keep forgetting it is midnight, so I shouldn't be screaming and whatnot. But if you were here last night, please, please, please blow up the chat and celebrate things that, are very simple to us that we don't understand. Like, what's the big deal? Are mountain movements for some of us. And so I want to celebrate Andrea Andrea didn't cut her hair.
I cut my hair.
I want to celebrate Andrea for being obedient and making the first step into what is required, for the miracle phase. And like always, have to ask myself, but did you die? that's always my go-to. Like, are you gonna die? Is this gonna kill you? So it ain't midnight everywhere. Go ahead and scream. You're trying to get me evicted, really? Okay, so with that said, let's get to it. Up until, if you were here last night, when we closed out, I had no idea what the E was going to be. And I'm dropping bars. I had no idea what the E was going to be. Dropping bars. You are no help, Andrew. And this afternoon, I was scrolling TikTok and it kind of started evolving. And it's actually been something that has been on my mind for several months. Since the Hawaii fires is really when I started thinking about it. And tonight's topic, theme for our prayer tonight is E, be effective anyway. So the E is effective anyway. And why? What do I mean? When the Hawaii fires came out, and I had started seeing this little by little, but it really came to a head when the Hawaiian fires hit, and Oprah and The Rock created this fund for what I believe were really good intentions, and people snapped and went off. And I understand both sides. And for years, I've watched people just turn on Oprah. And I don't know Oprah. I am not a big fan of Oprah. I'm like that. I'm not, only times I watched her show in its heyday was when she was giving away stuff, because that resonates with me. I love surprises. I love seeing people happy. But you can't help but still respect what the woman built. I ain't got to be a fan of her. I ain't got to be a fan of Beyonce what am I trying to say? I don't have to be a fan and still have respect for their work ethic, for what they built. And so as I'm watching, because, I don't comment a lot, but I read a lot of the comments, especially, and I don't know why I'm drawn to it, but it amazes me how people that you've never met, never had a conversation with, and I'm willing to bet you would never say these things to their face. You get gangster behind that keyboard. Mm-hmm. And you just talking all kind of smack, being real slick, talking out the side of your mouth. And I'm like, do you realize you're still talking to a human being?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, hi, Tony. Hi, Jocelyn. So as I'm watching this go down, that they're getting vilified of how dare you, ask, us commoners for money when you're sitting, on money. And, $10 million. People always, in my opinion, are always spending other folks' money. $10 million is a snip of what you can contribute, because Rockin' and Oprah had put in the $10 million. And I'm watching this and I'm watching them vilify Oprah, and something is telling me, like, your day is coming, Tej. No matter how, after all the good you have done, out of all the good, Oprah had a whole angel network where 100%, hi Denise, where 100% of the proceeds, she handled all the administration costs. 100% of the proceeds went to her angel network. And she did this for years. She's known for being as I would argue, she's known for being a philanthropist as much as she's known for being a superstar television host. When she wanted to build the school in Africa, Americans went crazy just dogging the woman. How's she going to be over there doing that when we need schools? And then when her TV show ends after 25 years, the world finds out that this whole time she had put hundreds of young Black men through college at Morehouse. I still get chills looking at that footage. Nobody knew this whole time she had been doing this. And what they did was they dimmed the lights, and they had the men that she had provided scholarships for, you proceed all through the audience. And just when you thought they were done, here come a whole nother crew. And this thing went on for days, it felt like. For days. And I'm like, all these people talking smack. I know for a fact celebrities don't broadcast half the stuff that they do. And then they're damned if they do, they damned if they don't. If they don't speak on a specific issue that's important to you, then they need to be canceled. Now, let me bring it even closer. I'm watching Beyonce. Now, I'm going to keep it, yes, Whit, and Oprah is definitely HBCU alum, the Tennessee State University. I'm watching Beyonce break all kinds of records. And I'm gonna keep it 100. I have not been a big fan of Beyonce after the Homecoming album. She could have stopped making music after Homecoming album to be just for me. So, because that was the tribute to HBCUs. You can't get any higher than that for me. But I still respect the woman's work ethic of what she's built. And if you know her history just a little bit, you know that girl is blackity, black, in what some Louisiana folks would be considered red bone because her mom is Creole. And so I'm watching everybody blow up because the lighting of her face. Now everybody talk about she want to be a white woman. What has she done in the whole time that she's had a career that even gives credence to that thought? But today, this is where it really came from, of Be Effective Anyway. Because we still watch Oprah continue to do good. We still have people have talked all this kind of trash about Beyonce, and she still does her Be Good foundation. And so today I was thrown a curveball when I'm looking at TikToks, and people that are longtime fans of B, I can call her B because we friends, but long-time fans of B are talking about how, she was just announced she's the #1 tour, of all time, $575 million. And I'm watching her longtime fans complain that they don't want to support her because she's not spoken out on Israel and Palestine. And I'm reading, so I watched the original post, of how much, the woman has spent, on bees, whatever. And then the people in the comments. And I'm like, yo, people will turn on you in a heartbeat the minute you don't do what they think you should do. And I see this all the time when it comes to celebrities. They deserve to be canceled because they've kept their mouths shut. So which way are we going to have it? Are we going to tell the athletes that they just need to shut up and dribble, as LeBron James had been told? Or are we going to want their opinion to use their platform? What? Do y'all want TJ really talking about politics? I don't follow politics like that. So why would I use my platform?
Right.
I'm all about making people laugh and happy and what. But don't get it twisted. Just because I'm not commenting about it, I recognize my position. People come to my page to laugh and escape. People come rock with me, Jamel, to laugh and escape. Beyonce is an artist. We look to her for entertainment. Why does she have to go solve the Israel and Palestine conflict if she ain't equipped? And let her make one misstep, say one thing wrong. We're going to talk about how uninformed as she is and how she needs to get somewhere and sit down and stick to art. But they can't do anything right, Shanisha. And so as I laid there thinking, I've done a lot of good. And I'm always thinking about the people I'm called to serve, as I'm sure Oprah does. I'm sure LeBron James, who had been told to shut up and dribble, does. I'm sure B does. But they're ready to cancel them and disregard all the good. And God charged me, be effective anyway. You can't escape your calling, Miss Ruthie. You can't escape what God has called you to do, T. Renee. You can't. And people are going to talk regardless. And if your job is to be the solution to the problem, Denise, you have to still be effective anyway. And Miss Tina, who I follow on Instagram. I follow Miss Tina. I don't follow Beyonce because I don't, man. But Miss Tina had it about you coming for her child. So she popped off when they start talking about she want to be white. She popped off. And so because she popped off, it has to hurt Beyonce to see this. And the things have been said about her over the years. She is a human being. So it had to hurt, but without knowing her, but just looking at the receipts, she still has overcome what people are saying. The people, Andrea, look up, find for me Daring Greatly by Theodore Roosevelt for me. What Beyonce figured out, that she still is called to bring joy, regardless, you believe what she believes, or she's gone into whatever it is. It is my belief that Oprah still chooses to do good, even though not everybody, but people are attacking her. Because they recognize they have to be effective anyway. I only experienced a tiny bit of this when we started doing HBCU bingo. And we were only loving on doing this for the students who had graduated from HBCUs. I'm getting it a little bit with Move-In Day Mafia. Move-In Day Mafia is specifically for the demographic at HBCUs. My assignment is HBCU. When we did the bingo, I got messages. Well, why are you only taking care of the students who are going to HBCUs or who graduated from HBCUs? What about the Black students who are graduating from high school going to HBCUs? My response is take it up with God, or, do it yourself. Move-In Day Mafia. White people are saying, well, that sounds incredibly racist. There's a whole, all the kids in foster care need help. And my response, take it up with God or start it yourself. I know my assignment. I know my calling. But somebody is always going to have something to say, Jamel. And our charge is to be effective anyway. So with that said, let's go to the scripture. We're going to start to lay the foundation at Genesis 37. So Jacob settled again in the land of Canaan, where his father had lived as a foreigner. And this is the account of Jacob and his family. When Joseph was 17 years old, he often tended his father's flocks. He worked for his half-brothers, the sons of his father's wives, Bilhah and Zilpah. But Joseph reported to his father some of the bad things his brothers were doing. Joseph was a little brother who was a snitch. Jacob loved Joseph more than any of his other children because Joseph had been born to him in his old age. So one day Jacob had a special gift made for Joseph, a beautiful robe. But his brothers hated Joseph because their father loved him more than the rest of them, and they couldn't say a kind word to him. One night, Joseph had a dream, and when he told his brothers about it, they hated him more than ever. Joseph couldn't keep his mouth shut. Listen to this dream, he said. We were out in the field tying up the bundles of grain. Suddenly, my bundle stood up, and your bundles all gathered around and bowed low before mine. His brothers responded, so you think you'll be our king, do you? Do you actually think you will reign over us? And they hated him all the more because of his dreams and the way he talked about them. Verse 9, soon Joseph had another dream, and again, he told his brothers about it. Listen, I've had another dream, he said. The sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed low before me. This time he told the dream to his father as well, to his brothers, but his father scolded him. What kind of dream is that? He asked. Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow to the ground before you? But while his brothers were jealous of Joseph, his father wondered what the dreams meant. And soon after this, Joseph's brothers went to pasture their father's flocks at Shechem. When they had been gone for some time, Jacob said to Joseph, your brothers are pasturing the sheep at Shechem. Get ready and I will send you to them. I'm ready to go, Joseph replied. Go and see how your brothers and the flocks are getting along, Jacob said. Then come back and bring me a report. So Jacob sent him on his way, and Joseph traveled to Shechem from their home in the valley of Hebron. When he arrived there, a man from the area noticed him wandering around the countryside. What are you looking for? He asked. Well, I'm looking for my brothers, Joseph replied. Do you know where they're pasturing their sheep? Yeah, the man said. They moved on from here, but I heard them say, let's go on to Dothan. So Joseph followed his brothers to Dothan and found them there. When Joseph's brothers saw him coming, they recognized him in the distance. As he approached, they made plans to kill him. Here comes the dreamer, they said. Come on, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns, and we can tell our dad a wild animal has eaten him. Then we'll see what becomes of his little dreams. But Reuben heard of their scheme. He came to Joseph's rescue. Let's not kill him, he said. Why should we shed any blood? Let's just throw him into this empty cistern here in the wilderness, and then he'll die. Like, that ain't killing him? Like, what? So, okay. Why should we shed any blood? Let's just throw him in this empty cistern here in the wilderness. Then he'll die without us laying a hand on him. Oh, it's not murder if you, oh, okay. Reuben was secretly planning to rescue Joseph and return him to his father. Somehow his brothers bought that. Okay. So when Joseph arrived, his brothers ripped off the beautiful robe he was wearing, and then they grabbed him and threw him into the cistern. Now the cistern was empty and there was no water in it. Then, just as they were sitting down to eat, they looked up and saw a caravan of camels in the distance coming toward them. It was a group of Ishmaelite traders taking a load of gum, balm, and aromatic resin from Gilead down to Egypt. Joseph said to his brothers, "What will we gain by killing our brother? We'd have to cover up the crime." This is getting worse. And like this is really making sense to, okay. After all, instead of hurting him, let's sell him. Yeah, that's better, to those Ishmaelite traders. After all, he is our brother. Oh, now you concern, okay. Our own flesh and blood. And his brothers agreed. It's crazy to me that all of them rode with this. So when the Ishmaelites, who were Midianite traders, came by, Joseph's brothers pulled him out of the cistern and sold him to them for 20 pieces of silver. And the traders took him to Egypt. Sometime later, Reuben returned to get Joseph out the cistern when he discovered that Joseph was missing. He tore his clothes in grief, and then he went back to his brothers and lamented, "The boy is gone. What will I do now?" Then the brothers killed a young goat and dipped Joseph's robe in its blood, and they sent the robe to their father with the message, "Look at what we found. Doesn't this robe belong to your son?" You can tell there's some tension between the siblings. The father recognized it immediately. "Yes," he said, "it is my son's robe. A wild animal must have eaten him. Joseph has clearly been torn to pieces." Go down to verse 36. Meanwhile, the Midianite traders arrived in Egypt, where they sold Joseph to Potiphar, and an officer of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Potiphar was captain of the palace guard. If you're familiar with this story, so they were going to kill him, then they're going to put him in the cistern, and then they sold him, and then now he had been sold twice. He had ended up in Potiphar's house. Okay, if you know the story, then you know Joseph ended up still going to prison for years, but he still thrived. He's in the wilderness. Hi, Wandretta. He's in the wilderness. Okay, now bad stuff has happened. It ain't like, he didn't go through some things. Okay. Jump over to 42. So there's been a drought and food has run out. Joseph has now risen to being second in command to Pharaoh because of his gift of interpretation and his logistics skills. So Pharaoh has put him in charge of everything to have Egypt survive the famine. So Joseph, even though he went into the wilderness, God still took care of him and elevated him and promoted him into a position of being second in command. This is where we're picking up chapter 42. When Jacob heard that the grain was available in Egypt, he said to his sons, the ones who were trying to kill Joseph, "Why are you standing around looking at one another? I have heard that there's grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy enough grain to keep us alive. Otherwise, we'll die." So Joseph's 10 older brothers that tried to kill him and ultimately sold him into slavery sent him on a 13-year journey of hell to then arrive to being the second in command. Went down to Egypt to buy grain. But Jacob wouldn't let Joseph's younger brother Benjamin go with them for fear some harm might come to him. Benjamin and Joseph shared the same mother, and they were Jacob's favorite. And he made it clear. So Jacob's sons arrived in Egypt along with others to buy food, for the famine was in Canaan as well. Since Joseph was governor of all Egypt and in charge of selling grain to all the people, it was to him that his brothers came. When they arrived, they bowed before him with their faces to the ground. Joseph recognized his brothers instantly, but he pretended to be a stranger and spoke harshly to them. Where y'all from? He demanded. From the land of Canaan, they replied. We have come to buy food. And although Joseph recognized his brothers, they did not recognize him. And he remembered the dreams he'd had about them many years before, because the promise is still the promise. The promise is still the promise. He said to them, "You're spies. You have come to see how vulnerable our land has become." "No, my lord, no," they exclaimed. I don't know about y'all, and this is where I feel like Aaron is very judgy here, Andrea. I think I feel her judging me through the screen, because I'm sure she wouldn't have enjoyed this, but I recognize the dudes that tried to kill me. I'm enjoying every minute of watching them squirm. I got the power now. What? You thought you had gotten the best of me. What? But see, I know like Jamila and Wandretta, they good, Andrea. You and I, we thugs. So we wouldn't have been. I would have made sure they knew. Oh, how you like me now? It ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. I know me. I ain't quite arrived yet. Where you are. Verse 11.
Working on me.
Right, God, I'm a work in progress. We are all brothers, members of the same family. We are honest men, sir. We are not spies. Verse 12. Yes, you are, Joseph insisted. You have come to see how vulnerable our land has become. 13. Sir, they said, there are actually 12 of us. We, your servants, are all brothers, sons of a man living in the land of Canaan. Our youngest brother is back there with our father right now, and one of our brothers is no longer with us. But Joseph insisted, as I said, you are spies. This is how I will test your story. I swear by the life of Pharaoh that you will never leave Egypt unless your youngest brother comes here. One of you must go and get your brother. I'll keep the rest of you here in prison. Ooh, I would be eating that up. I would be like, for every day I had to spend in prison, I rose through the ranks, thought I had survived this thing. And then lo and behold, because a woman lied on me because I wouldn't sleep with her, I'm back in prison. So you gonna sit here and I'm gonna make y'all feel what I'm going through. Then we'll find out whether or not your story is true. By the life of Pharaoh, if it turns out that you don't have a younger brother, then I'll know you're spies. So Joseph put them all in prison for 3 days. Okay, right now we already seeing the heart of Joseph. Joseph spent at least 2 years that I can recall off the top of my head. He only gonna leave him there for 3 days. That won't be me. That y'all ain't never going home. I'm gonna double the time I had to. Okay, so let's go. Let's keep going before I tell on myself, and then y'all don't think I'm a nice person. On the third day, Joseph said to them, I am a God-fearing man. If you do as I say, you will live. If you really are honest men, choose one of your brothers to remain in prison. The rest of you may go home with grain for your starving families, but you must bring your youngest brother back to me. This will prove that you are telling the truth and you will not die. To this, they agreed. Speaking amongst themselves, clearly we are being punished because they knew this thing hunted them for years. This was their brother. Clearly we're being punished because of what we did to Joseph long ago. We saw his anguish and they watched the dude plead for his life, but we wouldn't listen. That's why we're in this trouble. You think? Didn't I tell you not to sin against that boy, Reuben asked? But you wouldn't listen. No, you had it figured out. You wouldn't just let calmer heads prevail. And now we got to answer for his blood. Now, of course, they didn't know. They didn't know that Joseph understood them, for he had been speaking to them through an interpreter. See, Joseph was smart. I wish I had that gift of knowing either Korean It's Spanish, because then I can know what they be talking about me in the nail salon. Now he turned away from them and began to weep. When he regained his composure, he spoke to them again. Then he chose Simeon from among them and had him tied up right before their eyes. I know Joseph just had to feel a little bit of redemption, right? Right, Aaron? He had to feel just a little bit. But when they stopped for the night and one of them opened his sacks to get grain from his donkey, he found his money in the top of his sack. Oh, wait, let's go back. Sorry. 25. Joseph then ordered his servants to fill the men's sacks with grain, but he also gave secret instructions to return each brother's payment at the top of his sack. He also gave them supplies for the journey home. I remember studying Joseph and was wondering, God, will I ever have this level of forgiveness? They tried to kill this dude, and he still was looking out for them. So the brothers loaded their donkeys with the grain and headed for home. Verse 28, look, he exclaimed to his brothers, my money has been returned. It's here in my stack. Then their hearts sank trembling. They said to each other, what has God done to us? When the brothers came to their father, Jacob, in the land of Canaan, they told him everything that had happened to them. The man who was the governor of the land spoke very harshly to us. We don't know why. We ain't do nothing. We were just like there with everybody else. But for some reason, he just didn't like what we were wearing or something. He accused us of being spies scouting the land. But we said we're honest men, not spies. We're 12 brothers, sons of one father. One brother is no longer with us, but the youngest is at home with our father in the land of Canaan. Then the man who was the governor of the land told us, this is how I will find out if you're honest men. Leave one of your brothers here with me, take a grain for the starving families and go home. But you must bring the youngest brother back to me. Then I'll know you are honest men and not spies, and I'll give you back your brother, and you may trade freely in the land. And they emptied out their sack. There in each man's sack was a bag of money. It paid for the grain. The brothers and their father were terrified when they saw the bags of money. Jacob exclaimed, you are robbing me of my children. Joseph is gone. Simeon is gone. And now you want to take Benjamin too? Everything is going against me. Then Reuben said to his father, you may kill my two sons if I don't bring Benjamin back to you. I'll be responsible for him, and I'll promise to bring him back. But Jacob replied, my son will not go down with you. His brother Joseph is dead, and he is all I have left. Can y'all imagine? Wandretta, can you imagine that your father is talking to you like you don't even exist? And because of the culture, you must honor your father's wishes. But your father's talking like you don't exist. I talk about trauma and therapy, Olateju. But Jacob replied, my son will not go down with you. His brother Joseph is dead. He's all I have left. If anything should happen to him on your journey, you will send this grieving white-haired man to his grave. But the famine continued to ravage the land. Chapter 43, when the grain that they had brought from Egypt was almost gone, Jacob says to the son, go on back and buy us a little more food. But Judah said, the man was serious when he warned us. You won't see my face again unless your brother is with you. If you send Benjamin with us, we will go down and buy more food. But if you don't let Benjamin go, we ain't going either. What's the point? Why were you so cruel to me? Verse 6, Jacob moaned. Why did you tell him you had another brother? And the man kept asking us questions, Dad, about our family. He was already harsh with us. They replied, he asked, is your father still alive? Do you have another brother? So we answered his questions. Hell, we already got in trouble for trying to kill our brother. Now we ain't trying to lie. How can we know what he would say? Bring your brother down here. That's the last thing we thought he would say. So long story short, Jacob surrenders. They let him take Benjamin. Let's pick up at verse 19. They head back to Egypt. The brothers approached the manager of Joseph's house and spoke to him at the entrance to the palace. Sir, they said, we came to Egypt once before to buy food. They had just left poor Simeon down there, though. Like, they just left the man. But as we were returning home, we stopped for the night and opened our sacks, and then we discovered that each man's money, the exact amount paid, was in the top of the sack. Here it is. We have brought it back with us. We also have additional money to buy more food. We have no idea who put our money in our sacks. Chill. Don't be afraid, the household manager told them. Your God, the God of your father, must have put this treasure in your sacks. I know I received your payment. Then he released Simeon and brought him out to them. The manager then led the men into Joseph's palace. He gave them water to wash their feet and provided food for their donkeys. They were told they would be eating there, so they prepared their gifts for Joseph's arrival at noon. When Joseph came home, they gave him the gifts they had brought him. They bowed low to the ground before him, and after greeting him, he said, how is your father, the old man you spoke about? Is he still alive? Yes, they replied. Our father, your servant, is alive and well. And they bowed low again. Then Joseph looked at his brother Benjamin, the son of his own mother. Is this your youngest brother, the one you told me about? Joseph asked. And if you've come from a family where you share the same mother, you know that, not intentionally, that there's almost just a different bond between those siblings. So I know how Joseph would feel looking at his little brother. Then Joseph hurried from the room because he was overcome with his emotion for his brother. He went into his private room where he broke down and wept. And after washing his face, he came back out, keeping himself under control. And then he ordered, bring out the food. The waiter served Joseph at his own table, and his brothers were served at a separate table. The Egyptians who ate at Joseph sat at their own table because Egyptians despised the Hebrews and refused to eat with them. Joseph told each of his brothers where to sit, and to their amazement, he seated them according to their age, from oldest to youngest. And Joseph filled their plates with food from his own table, giving Benjamin 5 times as much as he gave the others. So they feasted and drank freely. Can you imagine the amount of forgiveness it had to take, and the recognition that it must have been the recognition of your calling, what you were called to do? Because this goes back and forth a couple of times. And finally, at the top of 45, Joseph could stand it no longer. There were many people in the room, and he said to his attendants, out all of you. So he was alone with his brothers when he told them who he was. Then he broke down and wept. He wept so loudly the Egyptians could hear him, and the word of it quickly carried to Pharaoh's palace. I'm Joseph, he said to his brothers. Is Dad still alive? But his brothers were speechless. They were starting to realize that Joseph was standing there in front of them. Please come closer, he said to them. So they came closer, and he said again, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into slavery. I ain't forget what you did. But don't be upset and don't be angry with yourselves for selling me to this place. It was God who sent me here ahead of you to preserve your lives. Joseph had to have the mentality of I've got to be effective anyway. I didn't like how God's plan had to come about. I didn't like, we don't like being in the position that requires the miracle. We just like the miracle. Can you, Wondretta, in the face of this, still be effective? People are not understanding why you like the way you are. People are not understanding why you move the way you move. People don't understand how you're built the way you're built. But what if you're called to love the people who don't even understand that you're trying to help them? Can you still be effective? Aaron, can you still be effective when your heart is just breaking by the mean things that people are saying? Can you still be effective and still do a good job for the boss that don't even need to be in that position? You can lead way better than your boss, but you got to stay at that job and still be effective because your assignment is in that place on that assembly line. Can you still be effective anyway? When all hell is breaking loose around you and in your own life, and God is still telling you, but I need you to serve these people. Can you still be effective? Can you still show up? Compartmentalize what you're going through simply because this is your assignment and God has called you to it. Can you still be effective? Can you still show up and give 100% on that assembly line, in that hot factory, when people are acting like they were raised by some mice and some raccoons? And God is saying, but you got to stay because you need to represent me. You are the only Jesus that people are going to see. And you got to stay in this position until I tell you you can get out. Can you still be effective and do for the people who won't do for you? I see a lot, especially a lot of around this time of the end of the year, where people are talking about how they're going to change for 2024 and they're going to let go. They're sick of people, not being able to count. They do for everybody else, but when they call on the person, nobody want to help them. I understand those feelings and it don't feel good, but can you still do it if God tells you, I know you don't like it, but I have a purpose, and my purpose is to have you with this because they're going to need to see the Christ of how I love them. Jesus did the ultimate display of this. The people he came to save are the people who put the nails in his hand. And except that one night before he was crucified in the garden, he was all in on his mission. Before he asked God, can this cup pass for me? Because he knew he had to be effective anyway. History was relying on him to be effective. We couldn't see it. They couldn't see it. There's some that they were the very people taunting him ended up being saved. The two thieves, the thief on the cross next to him, they recognized he hanging there in pain and he's still praying, Father, forgive them. Can you still be effective through it all? So unless you have a specific request about how you need the miracle of God to come through and deal with you to be effective, we're going to do a collective prayer. And you can put your specific requests around this theme in the chat for the miracle that you need, because I don't know. I'm just gonna be honest with you, Aaron. I don't know. I don't know how good I be at that. And the only person that I can really think of that I would have that kind of reaction is my ex-husband, who almost killed me several times. And so I asked myself, could I do the right thing? Because initially, right after the divorce, I was like, God, if I saw him laying in the street on fire, the best thing I can pray for is just not, God, don't let me go and get some more gasoline to put on him, let alone try to help him put the fire out. So let's deal with phase 1. Stop me from getting some gasoline. Then the phase 2 would be me moving into helping him and help him put the fire out. But phase 1 was where I am. I like to say that I'm at phase 5, that I would go over and beyond to help on the level, but I ain't sure. So with that said, Lord God, we thank you. We thank you for the opportunity to gather in prayer again, Father. We thank you for laughter. We thank you for joy. We thank you for realness. We thank you for the ability to come together and ask you for these kinds of miracles. God, we know we've got some big needs in the room that we will continue to cover. Big miracles. But right now, Father, we're asking for the miracles that can't be seen, which is the changing of our hearts, the changing of our perspective, and the awareness of where we fall short of operating in our assignment. So, Father, I'm praying for each and every person represented here, that come whatever challenge, whatever setback, whatever knockdown that happens between now and the end of the year, that we still adopt a posture of I will be effective anyway. Because we recognize, God, that we serve you. We are on your payroll. So quite honestly, being on your payroll trumps the payroll of our earthly employer. So, Father, help us to consider this a coming to the office and let's have a talk with our boss. And our boss says, I know you may not feel like it, but I need you to step in and do this job. And I need you to do it to the best of your ability. I need you to do it. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's unfair. But I still need you to step up and be effective anyway. I know it's outside of the job description, and I know maybe we're not even paying you enough for this. But I need you to still be effective anyway. Father, I ask that every person represented tonight on this call recognizes their divine assignment and recognizes that is bigger than their own comfort. It's bigger than their own dreams and things that they want. Their assignment is unto you. And ask, Father, that regardless of the knockdowns, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of what people say, that they take the posture of, I will be effective anyway. I thank you, God, for the person that this stepped all on their toes, because they had the plan of the cuss out already laid out. They knew what they were going. They practiced the conversation. They played the conversation all up in their head. That the next time that boss comes and says anything to them, they know what they gonna say. And I just got all up in their mail that they have to hold their tongue and come back to you and say, God, did you position me here? And if you positioned me here, God, you're going to have to perform the miracle of me keeping my mouth shut. My supervisor got one more again to talk to me crazy. I'm coming for that person, Lord, that they at that one more again moment, and that this message is convicting. And Father, I want to be clear. I'm not talking about abuse. I'm not talking about blatant disrespect. I'm talking about the recognition of the assignment. I pray for the regulation of their emotions. And Father, I pray for the miracle of them stepping outside of themselves and seeing what is driving the behavior of the other person. Because once I sat down, got safe, and started my life over again, I recognized how my husband ended up becoming how he became. And then and only then could I pray for his ultimate deliverance. When I was willing to sit down and look at how did he get here to becoming this person. So, Father, for the miracles at midnight, I'm praying for the revelation of these assembled water walkers to shift a perspective just for a second, that they can put their emotions down, they can put their feelings down, just long enough for you to speak to their heart and show them that person in a different light. I'm praying, God, for the revelations that need to happen after tonight. And I know it's done, Lord, because you did the work on me. So I know it's possible. I pray, Father, that they pray for the person that is challenging their effectiveness, that is challenging their ability to keep their emotions at bay. What would it look like, God, if they earnestly started praying for that person or that group of people? Especially when they know their heart is pure and their desire is to serve and represent you. I am praying, Father, that they keep in mind that they are on your payroll. And they can quit if they want to. I wouldn't recommend it because it's hard out here playing for the other team. You got the best benefit packages. You the best boss in the game. Your grass ain't greener on the other side. So I strongly recommend they stay on your payroll. And just, I'm asking for the miracle. Because if we real honest, Lord, none of us would have handled our siblings like Joseph did. That was a miracle. So we know it's possible. So we're asking for the heart of Joseph for us to be effective anyway. Thank you, Lord, for the message and our time together. In Jesus' name, amen. Real quick, I want to, Andrew, I don't want to touch anything. Can you share? I don't want to touch because I'm afraid I'm going to miss it. So I always remember this quote, and it's by, I was going to say Thurgood Roosevelt. It's by Theodore Roosevelt. And it is not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again. But there's no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds of being effective anyway, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, as he is being effective anyway, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. I wanted to end on that quote because when I think of what Oprah is up against, what Beyonce is up against, LeBron, any other celebrity that really is using their platform, these keyboard gangsters, they ain't even in the arena. They're not even in the arena. So my charge to you is to remember, anything that you're going to come against, to be called to build that will have impact, is going to require you times of being effective anyway. So with that said, let's count it down in 10, 9. Jamel says the grass may be greener, but we need to ask ourselves how it got that way. It might be because there's more manure over there. 8, 7, 6. This hour with y'all goes by so fast. 5, 4. Aaron says, "Whoo, what a word. The miracle to change my heart to be effective anyway." Amen. Where was I? 3. I see. I made past 6. Y'all didn't say nothing. Y'all didn't celebrate me. Y'all only call out when I blow it. Y'all don't celebrate me when I get it right. Y'all just wrong. But I'm gonna be effective anyway.
I was just gonna say you didn't get stuck on 6.
I don't know what tomorrow is. I don't know what the F is yet. So I know what the G is, but I don't know what the F is. So we'll see. We all be surprised. 2, 1. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Mwah. Bye.